Hi, it's Charlene Sinjenko from Powerhouse, and we are doing some videos with local business owners and entrepreneurs here on the Sunshine Coast, leading up to the Sunshine Coast Business Recovery Forum on June 25th. And I am lucky enough to grab a conversation with Cody Robinson, who is a local realtor on the Sunshine Coast, a father, and a Gibson's and area fire department officer. And Cody, thank you for having a conversation today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I've got a few questions that I've been asking people. Just really curious about what they're experiencing right now, what their experience has been over the last 90 days of life and work and business and family as we're going through a bit of an interesting time. Wondered how things were going for you.
Yeah, things are like finally coming back to normal a little bit, and yeah, just finding our new normal in life, and with work and family and everything else going on. So yeah, it's finally feels like we're getting back to normal a little bit. So it's good.
Yeah. When you reflect back on the last 90 days, just in terms of some pressures or some pivots that you've had to make, in life and work, and just trying to figure things out in a situation that none of us have ever really been through, anything like this. What comes to mind for you?
Yeah, I think the uncertainty of it all when everything hit, and just what's going to happen, how long is it going to last, what are we going to do, and with different family dynamic with the kids, and just not being able to see people. How is work gonna go throughout that? With my job, I deal with people and a lot of the time in person, so it's dealing with closings and meeting new clients and people that need to buy and sell, and that was kind of the reality through it. And it was just learning how to navigate through all that, and it was a learning process. And then doing that all, having to do all that somewhat virtually, and if in person, very carefully and with proper measures and protocols. And then doing that while balancing family life and having the kids home full time and that kind of stuff. So
I know with a young family, just that it's hard when they don't understand why play dates can't happen, or why daycare is closed suddenly. So I can imagine that that it was just a really interesting dynamic for you. I'm curious, when you think back, how did you cope with the situation of trying to balance being a dad, a business person, and a volunteer in the community that is quite heavily depended on with your team at the fire department? How did you work through that?
yeah, I mean, luckily everything kind of slowed down a fair bit, so it's I had time to kind of um didn't have to react as quickly. Fire department aside, I mean, we really had to kind of right away, because our pager could go off anytime. We were having to think about how we were going to respond, what the obvious risk of attending medical calls or any sort of fire call, the risk of exposure to COVID-19, and how we were going to do that in a way that minimized the risk to our members and that kind of stuff. And so a lot of strategizing around that with the sort of following our chief's lead. And Workwise was kind of again, it was kind of nice to slow down a little bit and get some time with the kids. But then it was trying to when you talk about coping, just figuring out all the logistics of everything. But and then family and everything. But like I said, you just previously here, just we found the best coping method was just talking with people and reaching out to friends. And I was reaching out to clients and everything, and the more people you talk to, the more you understand that everyone's going through it too, and they have similar challenges. And if you've got friends that have kids your same age and all that, I think that was it was a great way to cope with all of it. And there's everyone had their panic moments and their breakdowns and everything, and that you kind of feel alone a little bit going through that. But then again, once you start talking to people, you realize they're going through it as well, and that kind of really helped on my
Yeah.
end.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, we have to realize that we're all in a pretty fairly similar situation, maybe experiencing it in slightly different ways. But one way is to reach out and to talk to each other and get that understanding, and how can you support each other as best as possible. I mean, at the lowest common boiling point, we're all a group of families, trying to take care of ourselves and each other. I know we chatted briefly about, we're in the middle of June now, and now we're kind of looking forward to the next 90 days. Still not totally sure how it's going to unfold, but I was curious what you're thinking about as cast forward 90 days. What kind of thoughts come up for you now?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think work-wise things that have changed, and I think have changed for at least the medium term. So just thinking about how, and we've already been doing it through COVID, and just how do we do our business without, sort of still minimizing contact with people, minimizing the risk to, our sellers for listings. And so, we really enhanced our marketing to really, it was already online focused before, but more so presenting the property in every way possible online. So the people that are looking at the properties are, ones that are serious. They've seen the property, they know they like it online, and that are going. So just more along that lines is where my thought process is, how can we make the process as safe as possible for people. And I think there's a lot of efficiencies that come with that. Like I said, I mean, people might get less showings in that sort of scenario, but they're going to be more qualified buyers. And I think in the long run, in my business, that's kind of the end game, is minimal amount of inconvenience for my clients, especially on the selling end. So so it's just sort of pivoting how we operate in this new world and this new climate. And then obviously, safety measures and going out with buyers and masks and sanitizing, and just so that's sort of one side of it. And then the other side of it's just going to be focusing on that marketing side of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting in the conversations that I've been having, you hit on three things that have been coming through. Like, we've definitely heard the word pivoting thrown around a lot, but you also mentioned, today, just that opportunity to really just evaluate or reevaluate priorities. And then the third thing that I've heard from a couple of people is it's been a really important time to review process and make sure process and protocol, and kind of see where the gaps are, where you could do things better or differently. Definitely heard that thrown around a lot.
Yeah, I mean, next 90 days for me, I mean, so far, I mean, like I said, we hit the ground running so far with things. So I'm glad I took the time when things were slower to go through that evaluation process and look at our efficiencies and budget and all that sort of stuff, and really get a better picture of my business. Because I mean, it's probably just as well that when things are busy, you're kind of just treading water and trying to stay afloat and tackle everything that's coming in the door.
Yeah.
And you don't really have that time to sit down and reflect and prioritize. And so it was good to have that. And so I think I've got a good framework moving forward for the next 90 days to, have a bit more of an efficient business. And also too, another thing, I was able to kind of realize where I need help in my business. And now, I'm actually going out and trying to fill that gap with,
Nice.
Bringing on help in certain areas that can help me be more efficient in my day to day. So.
Well, I know that at the business forum coming up on June 25th, we're talking about all of these different pieces of what does business recovery look and feel like, and a few words that have come up is, how do we reinstill hope? How do we have conversations that, yeah, things are still uncertain, but we're hopeful, and what does that look and feel like, and asking people where do they need help, like do they know where they need help, like you've identified, and most of all wanting to create a situation even in a virtual event that people feel like they have an opportunity to come together like this and feel heard, like have that opportunity to share with one another, even in a small group. Here's where I'm struggling, here's where things have actually gone quite well, or what I've tried. And I wondered if you could speak to just the value of, what you think the value would be of local business owners, entrepreneurs coming together for this type of a morning. We're asking people to come together for a couple of hours to, to make sure that we're putting our best foot forward in the next 90 days. And, what are your some thoughts or ideas around that? What do you hope we discuss?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I talked about, how I coped through this and just talking with friends and everything, and just about general life stuff and how that really helped me. I think that's the same for businesses, talking to business owners that are, not necessarily in the same industry as you, but they're going through the same struggles and trying,
Mhm.
and I've found in the past too, just being part of different mastermind groups and, not real estate related, you kind of bring ideas from other businesses and other industries that you can apply to yours. And I think that's always a benefit in general, rather, whether you're going through what we're going through now or just in general in business. So I think it's a lot of benefit just to talk to people. And again, one, because of what we're going through, the struggles that everyone's going through, and realizing you are not alone. And then two, talking about business and process and efficiencies, and then getting those ideas from other people as to what you can use for yours. So
Yeah, I love that.
yeah,
Yeah, the value of the mastermind and just that collective brain of lots of different people, talking about things rather than sitting on your own trying to figure something out. It can certainly shift things. So, well,
yeah,
I thank you for having this conversation today. It's great to catch up with you and hear how
yeah,
things
as
are
well.
going. And I really hope that you can also be part of the conversation on June 25th, and as well as other business owners and entrepreneurs here on the coast.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, be happy to. And thanks for having me on.
Thank you.